Timestamp, March 24, 1975. A news story is published in a small newspaper in Salt Lake City. The story buried in a series about ocean mysteries and vanishing ships. It is only a few paragraphs long, but it describes something stranger than any Bermuda Triangle tale before it. A commercial jet approaching Miami, and for 10 minutes. It simply doesn't exist. Here is the story as it has been told and retold for 50 years. A passenger jet is on final approach into Miami. Air traffic control has it clearly on radar. Then, nothing. The blip vanishes. No mayday, no wreckage. No debris field, just silence. 10 minutes pass. Controllers brace for the worst. Then the plane reappears. Same position. Same altitude. As if it never left. The crew reports nothing unusual. No turbulence. No instrument failure. No memory of any gap at all. It lands safely. Routine, uneventful, until someone notices every clock on board and every watch on every wrist is running exactly 10 minutes behind. According to the legend, a controller says to the pilot, "Man, for 10 minutes, you just did not exist." It is a haunting image. A plane blinking out of time itself. But does it hold up? The earliest documented trace of this exact story is that 1975 newspaper item. No flight number, no airline, no names, no specific year given for when it supposedly happened. It reads less like a report and more like folklore already in circulation. The story resurfaces nearly 2 decades later, in 1994, in a book by pilot and author Martin Caidin called Ghosts of the Air, True Stories of Aerial Hauntings. Caidin adds vivid new details. FAA officials, eyewitnesses in the tower, the pilot's eerie calm. But none of these sources are named. None of it appears in any FAA or NTSB incident record. And this is where the story starts to look less like an isolated event, and more like a template. Because this exact premise, a plane vanishes, then reappears years or minutes later, unaged and unaware, shows up again. And again. In 1985, the tabloid Weekly World News published a story about Pan Am Flight 914. A plane that supposedly disappeared in 1955 and landed again 37 years later near Caracas. Its passengers not a day older. The tabloid reran the same story almost word for word in 1993 and 1999. In 1989, the same publication ran a darker variant. A plane vanishing in 1954, reappearing 35 years later in Brazil. Landing perfectly, except every passenger on board was reduced to a skeleton. And the pattern hasn't stopped. In January 2026, a video clip circulated online, falsely attributed to podcaster Joe Rogan, retelling the same basic story. This time a flight from Frankfurt to Buenos Aires that vanished in 1962 and reappeared in 1991. Different decades, different cities, same 10-minute or 30-year void. Fact-checkers point to something else, too. The entire premise closely mirrors a 1961 episode of The Twilight Zone called The Odyssey of Flight 33, a story decades before any of these true accounts about an airliner that slips through time. The conclusion. So what actually happened in 1975? Almost certain, nothing. No missing flight matches this description in any aviation record from that era, or any other. No airline, airport, or air traffic control authority has ever confirmed an incident like it. The source tabloid responsible for the most famous version of this legend, Weekly World News, is on record as a publisher of fabricated stories, flying saucers, time travelers, and all. What we're left with isn't a mystery. It is a myth, one that keeps getting reprinted with new dates, new cities, and new names, because it taps into something people find endlessly compelling, the fear and the fascination of simply vanishing and the fantasy of coming back exactly as you were. The plane never disappeared, but the story never seems to. Thank you for listening to this Mysteries in the Dark podcast titled The 10-Minute Void.